and hello, y'all. It's Allie, back here with Creators Spicy Tea, the podcast. And I know what you're thinking. Girl, where in the mother trucker have you been? Okay, I know. I was gone, and I was gone for a really long time. Not only was I gone from the podcast, I also disappeared from the Patreon and my Telegram channel and content in general. So mid-December, I ended up getting very, very, very sick. I am talking all of a month off to heal and recuperate. And just about now, I am getting back into the full swing of things. Business has turned around, picked back up after I let it fall right on its face. But that is okay. It is okay that I let it fall right on its face because I needed that time to heal. We're going to talk a little bit today about some pretty serious stuff. We're going to talk about our self-confidence and self-esteem and how we maintain it in the sex work industry. And we're also going to talk about burnout and how important it is to prevent that at all costs. So today's going to be serious. Sorry, we're diving right in with a serious one after so long. But I think this is going to really be important for us to talk about, especially with a market in this twisty, wisty, bullshitty place that it is. So let's dive in, shall we? As we know, as each and every one of us know, the online content creation industry can have real, extreme impacts on our self-confidence and our self-esteem. So for some people, we see it give these huge self-image boosts and self-assurance boosts, and we see them overall rise up to a level where no one and nothing and jack shit can bring them down, right? Then we have some people who experience the exact opposite, with feelings of self-doubt, body dysmorphia, and even being brought down to new mental and emotional lows. If I know anything to be true, mind you, at least for myself, we're all guaranteed to experience both, at least once in our career, because y'all, this is a roller coaster ride, and we can expect this to vacillate regularly. For myself, personally, I've found that where I am on that spectrum is 100%, well, almost 100% dependent on how my overall business is doing that day. Is that something we can control? Fuck no. So that is extremely illogical and something I'm working on myself. So what can we do when things outside of our control, like our personal life, trolls in the comments, sluggish business, yada yada, what can we do when that starts to affect our self-esteem and self-confidence? Let's talk some strategies that I employ regularly and see if any of them might work for you. So the first thing I do, and I do every single day, is track my accomplishments. I can't tell you how important this is for me. I am a neurodivergent creator. I have bipolar disorder, and I have bipolar 1, and even though I have bipolar 1, which is more prone to manic episodes, I still get those extreme lows. Something that I learned in my treatment for the bipolar is how important it is to end the day feeling accomplished. Let's say I have a couple days in a row where I'm barely hitting my financial minimum goal rather than exceeding or what have you. And during those days, I always get so frustrated with myself. I always do. I always feel like you could have done more. You could have done better. No. So what I do on those days is I track the things I did accomplish. So a specific example of this came up where I was barely meeting my minimum goal over and over and over again. So then what I did was I listed the achievements I did make. So it turns out in the one day I didn't allow myself to see my accomplishments, the list I accomplished was huge. I had shot, edited, and scheduled enough content to schedule out 2 months on my first Telegram channel, 1 month on my second channel, and a month and a half out on promo. That is so much fucking work. And I was sitting here thinking to myself, you're not accomplishing anything. You're not getting anything done. When I sat down and listed it out, the amount I got done blew me away. And I felt accomplished. I felt more confident in my abilities. Just because I didn't flourish in one area does not mean I did not achieve in other areas. So on those days where you feel like you are just not doing the best you can, instead of focusing on what you don't do, force a change in your perspective by listing out what you do. That way you're forced to focus in on your successes rather than your losses. Another thing that I have personally found that has completely changed my perspective of myself is hear and accept praise. But on the flip side, we get to decide who we accept criticism from. So let's talk about praise. If you're anything like me and you get a compliment, you really wish that the cracks in the floorboards were just a bit smaller so you could sink in between them, right? And then nobody could see you and you're just melted into the floor. I hate compliments. They make me feel weird. I don't feel like I deserve them. Stop. Full stop. Really, I know it's easier said than done, but imagine this. If someone you knew was kicking major ass at work, you would want to tell them, right? Let others give you that same gift, that same kindness. So what I had to do at the beginning to try and change my perspective on this was to look at praise, not as praise and compliments, but rather business reviews, all right? So instead of this is a person praising me, it was this is a client telling me what they like about my business and the way I conduct my business, and I can use this information to pull more clients from the same demographic. And if that is ever all you are able to frame receiving compliments as, then at least you're hearing it. But I'm hoping that, like me, after a while of hearing praise and compliments and looking at it from a logical point of view, you can start to internalize it and believe it and benefit from it. So let's look at the flip side. Let's say someone is criticizing you. It is your position, it is your responsibility, it is your role to decide if this person is worth enough to you to allow their words of criticism to impact you. For an example, are they a great repeat client who has supported you and been respectful thus far? All right, if they're giving you criticism at that point, it's definitely worth a listen. That being said, that trolling dumbass who is in the comments calling you an OnlyFans WHORE in those comments, not worth a second thought. That is not criticism you need to listen to. We are the only ones who can govern our own standards and self-acceptance. You guard the entry to whose words will affect you, be it negative or positive. So decide your boundaries, set them, and enforce them. Speaking of setting boundaries and enforcing them, y'all, you innately deserve respect, so you have a right to demand it. Demand it. I was a quiet wallflower who did not believe in boundaries, right? In my mind, it was a huge risk to a sale, or it was causing a scene. You know, I didn't want to cause a scene. I just wanted to make a sale. So I didn't have boundaries, right? I didn't enforce boundaries, right? Y'all, that's changed. That has changed. The reason why is I had to reframe how I thought about boundaries. I stopped seeing boundaries as causing a scene or any of that, and now I see it as a sign of self-love and self-respect. All right? Boundaries are not a suggestion. Your boundaries are inherent rights you have as a human soul. They are a direct reflection of your needs, your mental, emotional, and physical health. Those needs are 0% negotiable, especially when we are working as hard as we do, in the industry we do, with the people we do. Again, enforcing your boundaries is you putting your base human needs before somebody else's wants or behaviors. In this industry, you have to be able to do that. Boundaries are self-love and self-respect. Nowadays, when I enforce my boundaries, y'all, I feel like a queen, a goddess. I am the one in charge. You are at my table. You will follow my rules before you break my bread, right? Once you switch that mindset from causing a scene and losing a sale to, I set my boundaries, you will respect them, or I will fire you. Y'all, your self-confidence will go through the roof. And on top of that, my clients respect the fuck out of it. That sounds crazy, but every single one of them fully respects the fact that I set my boundaries and I enforce them and I will not budge on them. Because a lot of them have those boundaries for themselves. And if they see you enforcing them, they're going to connect with you on it and respect you for it as well. Bouncing on over to the next thing to help boost self-esteem and self-confidence, give yourself permission to be a work in progress. You are not a fully written book. You are not ready to be published yet. You need to allow your character to still develop and your story to still play out. Stop expecting perfection out of yourself. I am directly looking in a mirror saying that to myself repeatedly. Eventually I'll hear it, but y'all hear what I say, not what I do. Give yourself permission to fuck up. You're going to. The reason why? You can't know what comes next. You can't know someone's motives. You can't know what is in the next chapter. So give yourself permission to mess up, and remember, the choices you make are more than likely the best choice you could make at the time you made it, in the situation you made it. All right? Allow yourself to grow. And in that time you're growing, learn your ass off. Learn every single thing you can. The more you learn, the stronger you will be, the stronger your self-esteem will get, and your self-confidence. The more you learn, the more you can be prepared, the more you can be ready in case of fuck-ups and prevent them. Another thing that can really help keep your self-esteem in particular up and going, have a self-care routine, right? Have a physical self-care routine. Some people, this looks like busting ass in the gym or going for a run. Other people, it looks like having a super nutritious meal once or twice a day. For me personally, I got none of that. I don't exercise, and when it comes to nutritious food, I am sure there is some nutrition in MSG that is in all my Chinese takeout. My self-care routine is in my 6-step, twice-a-day skincare, right? Just have something in your day that is physical and dedicated to you and the improvement or maintenance of your physical body. This is an act of self-love, and enough of these acts of self-love will help translate to a boost in self-esteem. So now the number one final thing I can speak on to help boost your self-esteem and boost your self-confidence. Check your internal language. You check yourself. I mean it. The way you speak to yourself will manifest. Y'all, I used to out loud in conversation call myself stupid, call myself dumb, call myself an idiot. That doesn't even come close to the language I was using internally when I made a mistake. It got to the point that my clients would speak out against it, it drug me down subconsciously. It changed my perspective of myself. I didn't see myself as this awesome being. I saw myself as this stupid, dumb idiot, right? So I heard my clients, I heard my friends, I heard my family, and I decided to listen to the criticism from these people, and I changed my internal language. Do not get me wrong, y'all. I slip up. I am human. I slip and I will berate myself in my head, but I always stop and say, hey, cut that out. Or we don't mean that. Just something else to remind myself, hey, you don't talk that way anymore. When I say the way you speak to yourself and about yourself will manifest, I mean it. This change has been far and beyond the number one thing responsible for my self-esteem and confidence. I am more than willing right now to say that once I got good enough at checking and changing my internal language, every single thing else that we have talked about on this list has just fallen together. It's not easy at the beginning. It felt fake as French toast to talk good to myself. Y'all, this is 100% a case of fake it until you make it. So now that we have discussed how to try and keep our self-esteem and our self-confidence boosted in this bat snot crazy world of content creation, let's talk one more serious thing, and that's burnout. Y'all, if we're not setting our boundaries, if we aren't listening to our bodies, if we're letting our self-esteem run really low, if we're letting our confidence drop to the floor, burnout's gonna come a knocking right around the next door. So let's chit-chat about some things to look for, some ways to prevent it, and kind of what the difference is between regular burnout and creators burnout looks like. Because there is a specific type of burnout for us creative types. I want to start this by reading a quote that I found a while ago, and it is as such. I wonder if she'll be able to unwind in front of an episode of First Dates, or whether she'll find it too difficult, given that she's sitting in the same place she edits and uploads her videos. After a long day, it's hard to say whether she'll be able to cloud out the noise in her brain, the one that permanently commands her. Y'all, I feel that to my bones. As content creators, we are often working from the exact same spaces we are supposed to be winding down. We are supposed to be turning off in the exact same environment. We are expected to be at full force, and y'all, that can feel freaking impossible. Personally, I know I still struggle with that. I used to struggle with that so bad that I would end up working around 24, 36 hours straight with cat naps because I'm in my work environment. How am I supposed to shut down and sleep now? And at the same time, I know we are struggling because we are constantly and consistently expected to be producing content, conversing and interacting with our audience, and be at full creative and promotional force all day, every day, without question. I don't know if y'all are like me, but when I go to take days off, I feel this overwhelming guilt. It's ruthless because in my head, I'm selling myself. Taking days off is me losing sales for that day or 2 days. Anytime I take those days off, I usually even also assume it's going to take 1 or 2 to see sales pick back up where they were. Y'all, I got an internal battle like no one's business to silence that guilt, because taking days off in this career can mean no income or engagement for that day. And I understand it can be very hard to decide that your health has to come before your financial safety and comfort. So I actually created a little bit of a mantra for myself for when that guilt creeps in, so I can tell it to F right off. The income and traction you lose from taking 1 to 2 days off is significantly less than the income and traction you will lose from having to take X days off to recover from burnout. I experienced this. A part of what had me so ill in December was extreme full body and soul burnout. And I lost a month and a half of income. If I would have taken more days off, if I would have taken care of myself first, that might not have been so bad. Why don't we take a minute here and break down burnout and look at what it generally can seem to be. So these are general signs to watch out for. So feeling tired, drained regularly, severe negative feelings of being trapped or helpless or defeated, developing a more negative outlook, including growing self-doubt, feeling overwhelmed, even doing the things you used to feel completely capable and confident of, you're now feeling overwhelmed. Feeling alone or lonely, even if you're not physically alone, and procrastinating. I know this was a huge sign for me. I started putting shit off, and I had a hard time starting projects. Once I did start, I couldn't complete them. That was a big one for me. Those are all symptoms both at the beginning of burnout, and they are also prevalent, though significantly worse, when you're in a full state of being burnt. So now let's look at some signs that are specific to creator burnout. So we have some that are the same, so let's look at that one. That's being physically drained, physically tired, all the time. There is no sleep that can stop this exhaustion. Another one is new or worsening levels of social anxiety, depression, or generalized anxiety symptoms. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed and overstretched because we constantly have to maintain engagement that's exhausting. Maybe you're catching yourself comparing yourself to other creators regularly and feeling disheartened. Or maybe you're experiencing content fatigue. So content fatigue is losing the creative flow to find new ideas and having no motivation anymore to find them. Another sign, a big one that I went through, and I wish I would have heard this when my body was screaming it, a huge sign of burnout is feeling unable or even unallowed to disengage, right? Those are the signs I really want y'all to look out for. So how do we as creators avoid the burnout when we still have to be pretty much on 100 to maintain our career? Let's chat about that. The first practice that I've found to help workflow and reduce burnout, we've already discussed in this episode. Set your boundaries, right? Let your subscribers and followers know when you're offline and not to be contacted. Another thing, set your boundaries with yourself. Yeah, you need to set and enforce your boundaries with yourself. If you are offline, you are offline. You do not answer that message. You're not on the clock. If you are working a 9 to 5 and your boss messages you on a Saturday at 8 p.m., you're not answering that fucking call or that message. You're off the clock. It is the same thing here. And then set realistic goals, all right? Set realistic, attainable goals so you are not reaching for the stars when you only have a 5-foot ladder. Another thing that's going to help you so much automate as much as you can. Do everything you can to schedule your content. I'm talking invest in social media scheduling program or anything like that you can on your platforms, your subscription-based platforms. Try and have your content scheduled out as much as possible. This is just going to give you so much more breathing room. A thing that will really help with that is scheduling times for batch content creation. If you are trying to create fresh content every day, it can be draining. I know this because it is a part of my daily routine. The first thing I do in the morning is I create at least 10 pieces of content. That's exhausting. And if you do not have 24/7 to dedicate to this industry and this career, it's not attainable. So consider batch creation and then automate and schedule as much as you can. Another thing that's going to help, y'all make your content work for you. It's a golden rule for a reason. Reuse, repurpose your content. Not everything you post has to be freshly created. You can take clips out of your custom videos and post those. You can use content that you created in live sessions on your walls or for PPV. Resell your customs rather than create new videos, etc., etc. So what if we're a little late and we're already experiencing burnout symptoms? What are some steps that we can take to help take care of ourselves? The first step, I would say, which we've already discussed briefly, disconnect. Put the screen down. Put the phone on Do Not Disturb and stop being a creator. Do this multiple times throughout your day. Take short breaks. And at the end of your workday, you are at the end of your workday. The phone is off. You are not a creator anymore. You are you as a person. Know when to disconnect. A part of that does come back to setting and enforcing boundaries with others and with yourself. Something that I caught myself doing was taking every single sale that came my way. That seemed like the answer in my head to building a client base and my income. Don't say yes to everything. Really, don't. If you have room in your calendar for 6 projects, don't take on 12. Don't take on 7. You have to choose to prioritize your projects and see them finished thoroughly before taking on another. Speaking of setting and enforcing boundaries, when was the last time you took a full 24-hour day off? Seriously, when's the last time you told yourself you are taking 24, 48, you name it, hours off? I get it. That guilt from taking the days off is so real and so valid, but I'm going to say it again. Missing 1 to 2 days income to rest and recharge is a lot better than X amount of days of income that you lose while recovering from burnout. Learn from my mistakes on this one, please. Another important thing, maintain your real life. I can't begin to tell you how much I relate to this. It's so easy to get lost in being a creator and forget that you are also a human. It's so easy because you are able to dedicate so much of your time and your energy into this. It can become who you are as a person. Don't let that happen. Maintain a solid IRL social circle. Maintain your hobbies and definitely maintain those self-care practices. Remember, we chat about that earlier. Not only will that help prevent burnout, but maintaining those self-care practices is also great for your self-confidence and self-esteem. Finally, here's the deal. Sometimes we just gotta know when to reach out, okay? If burnout or whatever experience you're having in the moment feels too much, reach to your support circle. That's your friends, your families, your peers. Reach out to them. And if it comes down to a point of needing more than what friends and family can provide, reach out. Please reach out for professional help. So let's talk those resources, okay? We're just going to talk a couple, but there are so many out there for us. First resource I want to chat about is called Pineapple Support. They are an organization dedicated to providing free or low-cost therapeutic services to those who have been or are currently in the adult content creators industry. They also provide weekly support groups. They help you connect and bond and heal with those who are facing the same struggles as you. As somebody who has gone through extensive individual and group therapy, I cannot tell you how helpful group therapy is in forcing you to gain new insights, new perspectives, and new coping methods. Another really great one is SWOP and/or Sex Workers Outreach Program. So, caveat here, this is a USA-based organization, but they also are dedicated to providing resources, education, and support for sex workers. So they have resources ranging from things to self-care, to internet safety, to even outreach support they have available. Their community support line is staffed by volunteers, okay? But they are trained in crisis counseling and sexual assault counseling. There are also so many suicide and emergency hotlines and resources available. There is a free and publicly available resource on the Creators Spicy Tea Patreon. It is entitled Burnout, What It Looks Like and How to Combat It as a Creator. Again, this is free and publicly available. I am going to put the link to this resource in the description box of this episode. At the bottom of that page are suicide and emergency hotlines and resources. If you find yourself needing them, please reach out. You're not alone. You don't have to face this alone. You have help. This was heavy as fuck. This was heavy, but it was necessary because I've been seeing so many creators posting and commenting and talking about how they're down on themselves because the market is down. We can't control that. But what we've talked about today are things we can control. They're ways we can take power over our situation again. Thank y'all for sitting with me. I appreciate it. And I appreciate your patience while I was gone. I needed to go, I needed to heal, and I'm so happy to be back with you guys. All right. Once again, coming to you from my impossible to soundproof, noisy bedroom, this has been Allie with Creators Spicy Tea. And I certainly hope you are safe, you are sane, and you are absolutely flourishing in the world of spicy adult content creation.